strangest of times on my hill, watching while the cities rise from the cleft that we left when the sun beat it down into the valley. Oh, living in the strangest of times, you and me, watching while the cities rise and fall like rain. Seems that I knew you before, but when did I knew you then? Funny how the colors bend when lifetimes start to blend, and we've been spinning mysteries Mandala. Oh, living in the strangest of times.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. Well, I can tell you what, last week, for some reason, for me, went by really freaking fast. I mean, here it was Monday. Next thing I know, it was Sunday, and here we're starting off Monday. Am I living in the twilight zone? Are we all? Is the magnetic field of the Earth changing fast enough, or maybe it's speeding up time? I don't know. Mention Antarctica, that temperature. Could you imagine? That's almost warm enough you could take your shirt off and get a suntan and not worry about, well, being cold. That is like really, really scary that all of a sudden we had a temperature of that high in Antarctica, and it has broke any record ever. And what happens if it even gets even hotter than that? What's that tell you? Oh, we don't have any Earth changes. Well, something is going on. The oceans are warming up, and you know what? I was just reading yesterday from the equator, going all the way up the Atlantic Ocean to, UK and all that, Scotland and all that around that area. The ocean current, it brings us warm water, is slowing way down. That is scary. So some parts of the country, how it works, won't be affected by the earth changes. Some places that normally are cold could get warm. The places that are normally hot might turn into Antarctica. It is really strange. The last mini ice age we had here, up in our state of Washington, Seattle was under hundreds of feet of ice. But if you could drive, there was people around at that time, and if you just went 60 miles, the temperature was warm enough to survive with no problem. It's weird how it affects. Have you ever noticed that, James?
Oh, definitely. It is weird. I'll tell you what else I've noticed with all the reports and the research I've been doing. The permafrost is melting in Siberia. The one glaciers in Tibet I just reported on are melting, and they found 28 different viruses unknown, some of them up to 15,000 years old, that are being unleashed.
Oh, yeah, that's the scary part. Let's say, they're digging into the permafrost, right? Taking samples and not realizing they might come with a virus that, our bodies wouldn't be able to defend itself with. It is scary. When you think how many people died and perished, from the Spanish flu, for example, we're talking millions of people. I think maybe a lot of things are changing, unless you believe we're living in a box. If you believe that we're living in a box, then you have nothing to worry about, because we're not real anyway. We're just a civilization or a hologram or operating on a computer program.
Well, yeah, right. And I'll tell you another example. I can't think of the guy's name. He was an archaeologist working in Barrow, Alaska, a couple of years ago, and the permafrost was melting, and they were, looking up some dead animals were coming up being thawed, and he was leaning down in it on his knees, Well, the goo that was melting got onto his skin through his clothes, and he got an infection, a skin infection that started out like a dime and ended up huge within literally a day. And that was something that was unthawed, a virus that got unthawed. That was a perfect example.
It's scary. Well, you know what? According to the DOJ, Equiflex, where your credit monitoring, that gives you your credit report, it was hacked here. Remember that, people? Well, now they arrested, some Chinese military people and accused China of doing it. So, you know what? It seems like some of these countries that we went to war with on the tariffs and all this stuff, they were out to get us anyway. They're out trying to destroy our financial system, which I don't understand why they would want to do that, because they're dependent on us for money, for trade and all that stuff. But, it seems like we're getting hacked every which way.
Yeah. And, some people, their zest for revenge or greed, it blocks the vision of the long term or the mouth or the hand that feeds them.
Yeah. And then on February 7th, 41 people on a cruise ship was found to have that virus from China. 41 people. 41.
41? Wow, that's a big number.
Yeah, it said 41 cases found on the quarantine cruise ship.
Okay, I remember reading about that, but I didn't think it was that high. But yeah, I do remember that's a lot.
Oh, I think it's a lot. Considering on a cruise ship, you're in a confined area, so it's going to spread. But can you imagine people that have it getting onto an airliner and spreading it that way? Because a lot of people don't realize that cabin air you breathe, it's filtered, but it's recycled. So have you ever been on a long flight and somebody's coughing and they're sick, and then you about 5 days later, a week later, all of a sudden you got a sore throat and you got a runny nose and you got a bad cold or whatever? Most likely is because that person that was hacking on that plane, right? That air was recycled and then blown down on you to keep you cool while you're in that plane. Think about that. Well, hundreds went to a casino, and 200 of them got 200 plus got sick from some type of virus.
Oh, yeah. That's, if you can look back into, what was it, the late 70s or the 80s, the American Legion disease there in Pennsylvania, that was the same principle. It was in a confined area. They all got sick, and some died.
Oh, yeah. Well, this cruise ship thing, I'm looking at it from the 4th. On the 4th, it was only like about 3 people had it. And on the 10th, 10 had it. And then on the latest, on Sunday, 42 people. See how it spread?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Some of the reports, aren't accurate. I think they're higher than what they're saying. Because even last week, I reported that one report with the lady who was a nurse. She was in disguise from Wuhan, saying that there's at the time was almost I don't forget how many thousands she said was dead and a lot more infected. And they were only reporting a few hundred. So I think it's way more than they're letting on, because they don't want to, I don't know, maybe make it worse. But I agree with you, and it spreads. People have it, and before you know it, you've been around somebody, you don't even know it till you're sick. Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? They're saying now this is a global health emergency. And then the Center of Disease actually says, one of the officials said, it is now a major problem.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the reports I reported, too, one of the scientific experts there, he was claiming if you're not careful, it could be 30 million. It could be wiped out.
Oh, yeah. On Facebook, I put up a little short video I found on YouTube about the when the waves come crashing in from an earthquake.
Tsunami.
Yeah, tsunami. I posted that up, and people going, oh, gee, yeah, but that was a small one. That tsunami, it was a small one. And that was, though, from a 7.7 earthquake, it triggered it. It could have been major. What's funny is, on this video, the people are just standing around watching these huge waves come in, into the shore. why were they standing there? Why weren't they getting the heck out of there? Because how would they know that the next wave could be, twice as big and sweep them out to sea and they're gone and they're history?
Absolutely. Just a few years ago, that big one that hit, it killed 100,000 plus people. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're on the beach, and I've said this before and you always laugh at me, but when you see the water going way out, you need to run, get high ground, because it's going to come in twofold.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, anytime you see the water just like all of a sudden in a bay dry up, don't go out. There's people, I'm telling you, they don't use any brains because it can take a few minutes for it to come back. So these people, the water went out. I'm going to walk out there and see what I can find. Da-da-da-dee-dee-dee. Oh, look at this, Helen. Look what I found. Oh, look at that. And then all of a sudden, 100-foot wave comes crashing in. And then, don't do that. The first thing is, if you're anywhere near a place where all the water just kind of like disappears, like it's sucked back out to the ocean, get out of there as fast as you can. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to get away before it comes back.
Yeah, that is a bad omen when you see a bay empty or the ocean just go out where you can't see it no more. That is not a good sign from nature. You got to know that.
Well, I sure would know that, and I'd tell you one thing. Just like a lot of people, they go out swimming right in the ocean, and they don't realize there's an undertow. It can just pull you right out to the ocean. They don't know how to get back, into shore, and they try to. The first mistake they do is they try to swim straight back into the shore. It'll never happen. You'll be pulled out farther and farther and farther. The only way you can get away from that is swimming in at a 45-degree angle. And then you can break free of it. But you can't just swim against it because you're just going to be pulled out. And the reason how I know that, well, when I was young, I was a lifeguard, and that was one of the things they trained us on. So there.
Well, I've been on a couple of those in Florida when I was younger. They taught us all about those because a lot of people drowned. And first thing, you don't panic, just pretty much do like you say, kind of go with it and swim 45-degree angle. Don't try to fight it. And that's how people, they panic and try to fight it, and they fatigue themselves, and then, you're going to drown.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, tonight, we're going to try it tonight. I don't really expect it to take hold till the end of the week, but we've been promoting that you can call in the last half an hour of the show. Now, I only have one line that'll be available at this time. We're going to add more lines in here in the very near future. And you might want to get a pen and paper, color crayon, a marker, whatever. I'm going to give you the number to call in. If you want to call in and talk to us from 8:20 or 8:30 till almost 9 o'clock tonight, you can. And the number is 1-253-203-6681. That's 1-253-203-6681. And, you can sit there and ask me a question, James a question, or Tom will be on. You can ask him, because I tell you, he's very knowledgeable in the paranormal. Who knows what we're going to talk about when he's on tonight, but I guarantee you it will be exciting.
Oh, yeah, it will be exciting. We always have good conversations when Tom's on, definitely.
Well, the virus now also has reached Japan and most countries around the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's new reports popping up every day. I think pretty much every country's probably got somebody, even if they know it or not.
Yeah. The nuclear plants, the one in Russia that melted down like 25, 30 years ago.
Chernobyl.
Yeah. They discovered here just recently there is a fungus that loves eating the radioactive matter. So it eats the matter and it turns it non-radioactive. And they just now discovered this new fungus. It loves it.
That is amazing. That's why I always say, when for years these scientists say, "Oh, there's not life out there in different places," but yet if you look at life here, we've got life that can live in thousands of degrees in the vents in the ocean. We've got life that can live in rocks, and we've got life that can eat radiation. So, I mean, that pretty much covers